Hello Namibia and welcome to yet another episode of Windows of Wealth powered by PSG Wealth Namibia, your financial wisdom show woven with life tales told by prominent individuals. Today we've got yet another exciting guest. He started off his football career at the local club Civics. He then spent over 10 years in the Bundesliga playing at top level football. Today he's the head coach of the Brave Warriors. He is none other than Mr. Collin Benjamin. Collin, welcome to the show.
Chris, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
It's truly a pleasure to have you on the show, a legend like yourself.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Collin, if we can take it back, and I think a lot of people want to hear this story. Take me back to where it all started. Growing up, where you grew up, obviously here in Namibia. Tell me about that story, man.
Yeah, I think I had a normal childhood. I grew up in the Vambu location part of Katutura.
Yeah.
My mom, my stepdad. I had primarily my siblings, which is my sister, oldest sister, and two younger brothers.
Yeah.
And obviously the house is always full with cousins coming in and out
Always,
school.
yeah.
And but it was good memories. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful time. Yeah.
Tell me about the schools you attended. When did you start playing soccer, actually? Yeah.
Yeah, I attended school in Commersdal, my primary school, and also my secondary school, because my mom was of the opinion that I speak Oshiwambo at home and I have to learn the next language, which is Afrikaans, and then later English. But yeah, it started with the football part, started around, I don't know, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Dusty streets there in the
Playing
in
football
the
in the
location.
streets, yeah.
Yeah,
Strat soccer, as
Strat
they call
soccer,
it. Yeah.
That's what we loved on, and yeah, it was a beautiful time, and for me, football meant it meant freedom. It meant going into a place where I can be who I want to be.
Yes,
What I
yes.
mean with that is that I'm actually a relaxed guy, but when I play football, you just turn into
Character
this
just changes completely.
and I love that. And yeah, I was never the best, but I was very committed. I love playing soccer.
Yeah. So tell me, back then we're talking 1990s, more or less. We don't want to reveal your age. Sorry, man. How was the footballing culture that time for you during primary, high school? Did you play at a high school level for your school and for club as well?
I think most of the time then, the bragging rights was always about the location where you come from.
Yeah.
I'm from Katutura, Vambu location against Damara location.
Yeah.
I was going to play the Katutura guys against the Commersdal guys.
Yeah.
At school, you'll obviously, it's inter-schools,
Yeah.
and those bragging rights were important. It's part of growth, and
Yeah.
it was also bragging rights and identity and character.
Yeah. So who did you represent? Vambu Lokasi or Commersdal, since you schooled in Commersdal?
So at home, when we're in the location, yes, I play for my Vambu location team.
Yeah.
And then for the school teams, obviously I have to play for my school, which is
Yeah.
based in Commersdal. So if I play against my guys that's probably from Mandume or Namutuni, because you know them from the street, it was always something special, because you tell your teammates, like, hey, I know Chris, he goes on the right and he's fast and this and
Exactly,
that.
yeah.
And but yeah, it was a beautiful time,
Yeah.
honestly.
What was your character like in school? Tell me about the type of student you were, first of all. And like you said, you were more of a relaxed guy, more of an introvert. But once you step on the field, it's a whole different change for you.
At school, going to primary school, I think around 1985 when I started school, I was probably one of 3 kids at this predominant colored school.
Yeah.
So you have to also be the part, meaning that you have to try and get your good grades. So I think I was a good student.
Yeah.
I was a good student. I did my homework. My mom was big on that, and so it was also something that being at that school, being in the minority, in a minority, you have to be good, and I tried my best at school, and I think also, just like my mom said, school it's an important part of our growth, our life, and I took it
Building
very
that foundation.
serious,
Yeah. At what point did you actually consider I might be a footballer one day? Because a lot of us growing up think, I want to play for Manchester United, and slowly that dream obviously dies the sooner you, as soon as you start getting older and you say, okay, fine, the structures aren't really in that type of way that you can make that dream a reality. What was it for you? Did you want to be a footballer always?
I think around 1992, the Brave Warriors played against Zambia here. There was a daily newspaper, Afrikaans newspaper, and the writer on an article about the Brave Warriors playing against Zambia was a certain Mr. Boot Matthews.
Yes.
And he spoke about die beroepsspelers van Zambia wat in die Nederlande speel.
Yeah.
And so I asked a friend of my mom, my buddy, like, what does that mean? And she told me that beroepsspeler is basically a professional football player.
Exactly, these
And
guys
I
are
asked her,
playing
like,
in the Netherlands.
do you want to tell me these guys, they play soccer and they get paid?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, how cool is that?
That means
And
that you'll never work a day in your life.
exactly. So I think around 1992, 93, that was implanted in me.
Yeah.
And I think before that, as a 12-year-old, we went with the NSSU team to Durban. We went to play against South African provinces. I was 11, turning 12, and we went to Durban. That, I don't know, 2-day drive. We played against those provinces, and just this on this bus with everybody, the soccer players, the netball players, the rugby players, and went to play against those provinces. I told myself, this is so cool.
It's nice.
As a 12-year-old, leaving the country for the first time. I had a $50 that my mom gave me. I didn't spend it. I brought it back home. But I was just like, this is so cool. I want to do this for my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what would you say, what morals and values did you have to instill? Like you said, at 11, 12 already. A lot of people are out there, they're 11 and 12, and they say they want to do this for the rest of their lives. But what made it different for you at that age already?
You know, obviously that it was just a dream. It's just something that you like. You're probably not aware of it, but you just put probably unconsciously you put more effort in it.
Yeah.
Meaning that if we have training at school, then I'll jog to school. If I come to school, obviously the teacher's gonna be there. We're gonna do training. I'm gonna try and be in the first rows, in the first queues. And somehow in my mind, whether, like I said, consciously or unconsciously, I was just like, I have to be doing a little bit more than the next. That's why I'm saying I was never the best, but I was just committed. Probably I'm saying that it's probably also just the good Lord that was planting the seed in me.
Exactly, in the faith your mother had in you, and it's all about the power of a praying mother and so on.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's move to when you got into high school.
Yeah.
And you started playing a bit more seriously. Obviously, the boys are growing now. You're more on a competitive type of scale. At what point did the people realize you can play on a premiership level?
At high school, when you start playing for the senior team, that's actually when it starts getting a bit like, wow, there's something. Oh, do you know that boy? He's not so bad on the right wing, etc., etc. But when it started getting serious for me was, I played for the Namibian under-17 team, under-20 team, under-23, also at the senior level. And then, guys like good friends of mine, like Amos Shiuka was already playing for Civics, for example, or Ricardo Manetti. And these guys were like, hey, Lighty, come to our club, man, come play with us. Kom Biki, come check who's it, So I'll take that long track from Shandubala to Kommersdal and go play with the big guys. And, some of the guys, or most of the guys who also knew from high school. So that transition going into that first division was not so bad. But obviously at home, coming from the Wambo location part of home, it's like you're supposed to play for Tigers.
Exactly, yeah, because Tigers is just around the corner as well.
Just around the corner. But I would say my mom was a full Tigers. She played netball for Tigers and everybody in the location. But I was just like, not in their face, but I was like, I'm not going to do what you're doing. Yeah,
because you already sent to school in Kommersdal now.
Yeah. So it was also my friends, and you just like that vibe, and you just want to keep that friendship, and probably also not bad on a competitive part where if I'm playing for these guys in Kommersdal and playing against my guys, I can actually show them that, listen, I'm growing, and vice versa. The guys can also say like, hey, listen, Collin is not doing so bad. Maybe we should also start pushing and
start pushing
like that.
him,
Yeah.
So staying away from trouble, because I can imagine, looking back when I was in high school and when many guys in high school, when you're 15 to 17, 18, there's a lot of distractions that come into play, especially growing up in Windhoek. And it's girls, it's parties, and unfortunately a lot of the times it's alcohol. So what did you do to stay on the straight and narrow and not let those distractions get to you? Because obviously your friends were I would like to think, also getting involved in these type of things. And there's so much talent that we lose out on, and development in that phase, because we don't properly groom our youngsters.
That's actually a really good question, and I know for a fact that at some point my sister got pregnant, teenage pregnancies, and then she got a baby, and she had to go back to school. And so my mom then had to send her then to a boarding school in the south, and then me being the oldest now at home, obviously I have to now help with the chores at home, and that meant that only my two younger brothers, and now there's a nephew also in the house, and my mom is working normal general work at the factory then went to, and then you had to step up, and
the role had to change.
And the role had to change. You come after school, you have to clean the house, and you have to go get those two boys from your grandmother. And there's you have to put the one in the upper cross, and you have to carry the bag and the one in the one hand. So there was not really time to do all these other funny things, and that's why I'm saying it was conscious, unconscious, but it was probably also just the responsibility at home that kept me away. And so it's basically helping at home that kept me away from it. I still feel that I didn't lose out. I didn't lose out. And I still think that on weekends and after my mom came from work, I still could play my soccer, and that's all that mattered for me.
So what would you say assisted with the type of character that you had at that age? Because that's natural leadership coming through. And growing up in the household, and like you said, tell me about how your parents were with you growing up, and how your character was built to that level where you took the lead. Because a lot of people are in those positions, but they still get distracted, and they still go from the straight and narrow. What was that? What determined that character for you?
I think it's my mom. My mom, my stepdad. My stepdad is actually Mozambican by birth. But he was a very quiet guy, but still authoritative. Just having a man in the house was already something. Like you. And I think that was probably the difference between me and a lot of my friends in the neighborhood. There was a man at home. And then obviously my mom, it's an African mom, you step out, she's going to spank you. You know? So probably I was also afraid of the spanking. So I think that kept me away from all the evils that was happening around. And I mean, there was a time when young people my age would go to matinees. I never seen a matinee. At the start. Only when I turned 19, 20, when I'm playing for Civics, that I started going to the matinee. But then I think I could make decisions that was calculated, and I think to come back to your question, my mom, and just having a father at home,
figure that instilled those values for you.
That helped.
Touching on when you were 19, 20, I believe after school you went to university. And then that path from finishing school, heading to university, I believe you were still playing. You already played for the Brave Warriors at youth level already. Being a university student too, going to Germany, tell us about that, because I don't think many people know. How did you end up in Germany?
So when I finished my grade 12, I went to the Polytech now, NAST, and I enrolled in commerce. So I was studying normal, going to class every day like everybody else, and my second year, finished my second year, going to my third year, I was playing for I was 19, playing for the under 20 national team, for the under 23s, the senior team. So at times I would probably be away from classes for 2 or 3 months. I had my girlfriend then, who's my wife now.
Oh, well
we were
done.
sitting next to each other. And she would always keep the notes for me and helping me when I come back from these trips, or and she'll help me. But at some point, staying away from school for 3-4 months was just too much. It took a toll on me. I just couldn't cope anymore. But at the same time, I also wanted to succeed in soccer, and there was a local coach here. His name is Jakes Amaning. He had Ghanaian roots.
Coach Jakes, yeah.
Yeah, Coach Jakes. So I asked him and approached him basically like, hey, listen, I think I don't have much to offer anymore, you know, in terms of our local game, because I wanna grow.
Yeah.
And he was one of the few guys that actually had contacts outside of the country.
Yeah.
And he introduced me via telephone to this friend of his that was based in Germany. And like I said, in that third year, things were becoming so much. But playing soccer here on the side, I was saving up my money to pay for that ticket. I bought my own ticket.
Yeah.
I saved up a bit to be able to live at least a week or two in Germany. I packed my bags, and with Joe Franken, we made this deal saying, listen, you speak German, I can play a little bit of soccer.
Yeah.
I packed my bags in the third year, and I went over to Hamburg. It was a huge thing for my mom. Huge, in a sense that my mom was of the opinion that I have to finish school. Remember, she works at a factory, and she was paying for my tuition.
Sure. And now you just want to go to Germany and go play soccer. Leave your studies and yes.
Oh man, it was a fight. It was a fight. I had to convince her, saying that, you know, I can always come back and I can always repeat my studies. I can always get that. But soccer between 20 and 30, you deem to be at your best.
Yeah.
Let me go try.
Yeah.
So I packed my bags and I went to Germany.
But Collin, you sound like a convincing man, because you convinced your mother that to go. First of all, how did you convince the man in Germany sitting? Because back then there was no Skype or WhatsApp call to pick up the phone or videos to send in. How did you convince both of them to actually go?
You know, this Joe Franken, obviously, I told him, and he knew also from Jakes that I play for the national team.
Yeah.
So I mustn't be too bad playing for the national team, you know. So the only thing that I knew or I was hoping for when I packed my bags and I eventually got the visa and going to Germany, where he helped me to get, was I prayed that I'm actually going to meet him at the airport. Because if I'm not going to meet him, I didn't know where I'm going to go.
Did you have a return ticket?
It was a return ticket. You're not allowed to have a one-way ticket back then.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a two-way ticket, but on that whole flight, I was just praying that, hey, Mr. Joe Franken, we've never seen each other.
Yeah.
We've only spoken, but I really hope that you're going to arrive and you're going to be at that airport. And luckily, he was there at the airport. Yeah.
Oh, that's great stuff. So you arrived in Germany, you were 19 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I was 20 just before my 21st birthday, yeah.
So just before your 21st birthday, you arrived in Germany, you left your studies this side, packed your bag that you diligently, in your flight ticket that you diligently saved up with the Brave Warriors money, and you arrive in Germany. Never been in Germany, come there to play soccer. Tell me about that experience. What were you feeling at that moment when you arrived at the airport?
You know, my mind was already on that it's not going to be given to me. So mentally, I was prepared to be resilient. I had to fight. I had to give. I had to impress. And I also knew just the fact that I'm a foreigner and that I'm not going to be accepted as easily. And I mean, you go to Germany, it's a country with, I don't know, that time 75, 80 million people, and you're coming from a country that's got 2 million people. Yeah. So the competition is much stiffer.
Exactly.
So at that moment, all I knew was that, you know what, I'm going to have to impress these people. I'm going to have to be at my best. And I also just prayed to the good Lord that, my good Lord, you know, I've tried. I've done the work. I worked on my body. I'm fit. Yeah. And this is what I wanted all my life. Yeah, please grant me the strength to just perform. Exactly. So Joe Franken took me then to a third division club for trials. I think 3 days after I arrived, and after the training session, the coach said, "You know what? Tomorrow we're doing tactics." Yeah. So if a coach actually, that's after now the what I know
trial,
after
the
that.
first day trial that you attended.
If a coach tells you that, that means you were bad, and it was true. These guys were faster than me. Yeah. They could jump higher than me. They could kick faster than me. They were just better in all aspects.
In all aspects, eh?
So I sat there and it's like, wow, it's over.
Yeah.
But then I asked Joe Franken again. So he took me to the second team, to a third division team, Why third division? Because it was also teams that you could actually earn money to make
Okay.
to live. So I went to 3 third division teams within a space of 7 to 10 days. After that, all of them said, no, listen, this guy, thank you so
Nothing.
much. It's not on. And because you have to be better than them, and I was not better
100%,
than
yeah.
them. So that dream was over in 7 days.
Your heart must have been crushed.
I was crushed, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also seeing the truth on the field, because these guys
Yeah.
were just faster. They were better. They were better developed. So after that week, I was gone. But then because we actually had summer holidays here at the Polytech, I asked Joe to like, okay, if I can't make it with the third division, can I at least just for the 3 weeks that I'm here still,
Yeah.
that I paid my ticket, can
Yeah.
I just play at a team that's probably my level? So he had a friend in his company that was a coach of a 5th division team. And that's where we went. So I went to
Yeah.
train with the 5th division guys.
Yeah.
And luckily I could hold up
Yeah.
I could hold up, and I was a bit better than them, because these
Yeah.
guys normally would go to work during the day, and afternoon,
Exactly,
in the
yeah.
evening they come train. So I was better than them, and but I also enjoyed then the soccer for the 3 weeks. And after those 3 weeks, the coach came to me and asked, "Hey, Collin, do you want to stay?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yes, I'm gonna stay."
So it's not the big break you expected, but now 5th division, you're staying. So I would imagine they didn't pay, because only from 3rd division up they started paying.
Yeah.
So no means of income, 5th division. This side you're playing Premier League, now you're over on 5th division in Germany, not getting a salary.
Yeah.
Tell me mentally, what were you prepared to do to succeed at that point?
At that point, my thought span was more on everybody in Namibia and South Africa wants to go to Europe. You want these scouts to be around, or you want to impress the scouts. So for me, it was like, okay, at least I'm in Europe. I'm close to the scouts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in the 5th division, and I'm going to make the best and the most out of it. So when I started playing with them, I think in that week, the 2 weeks that I was there with them, I was cycling through the forest. I was running through the forest. I was push-ups. I think I did 300 push-ups a night.
Yeah.
Obviously not at one go, but in
Yeah.
pieces, because I just felt like I needed to become,
Yeah.
bulkier. I needed to be stronger
Yeah.
to be able to compete with these guys and also be better than these guys. So the work started there. So I stayed with that team for 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, they're like, "Hey, Collin, you have to stay with us, because we actually really doing good." And I stayed with them till December. And then after that, obviously I scored a few goals, and there was a few headlines in the local newspapers.
newspapers, yeah.
As a national soccer player from Namibia in the 5th division, so attention started coming. And then from there I went to a 4th division then after 3 months. Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly
Tell
but
us
surely.
about that journey where you ended up at Hamburg FC.
Yeah, so now at the 4th division club, it was then not in Hamburg city, it was something like 40-50 kilometers out of
Outside,
Hamburg.
yeah.
So it was basically a village. But I still took the time. Every morning I'm in the forest, I'm running,
Yeah.
I'm doing my push-ups, I am
Putting in the work.
I'm putting in the work.
Yeah.
And they would pay me an amount, at that time, around 100-150 marks
Yeah.
after a match. Sometimes it was in coins, because they took
Sometimes
it
in
from
coins.
from the gate takings. Yeah, so I will use that time to build on myself and just trying to be fit.
Yeah.
And then luckily in the 4th division in that city, the reserve team of Hamburg got relegated from the 3rd division.
Yeah.
And so they were now in the 4th division. And I saw it, and I was like, this is my chance. Not only Hamburg, but St. Pauli. These are basically the reserve team of
Yes.
reserve teams of professional teams. So I put in the work, and I was just like, on this day, we're playing against Hamburg. On this day, against St. Pauli, I have to be on my best. So normally when these guys come to town or to our villages like that, they'll kick us out of the stadium 4-0, 5-0, 6-0.
Yeah.
But when Hamburg came, we played to a 2-all draw. I scored
Yeah.
a goal, and I gave an assist.
An assist as well.
So everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
Hamburg, these professional players
Yeah.
drew. And after that match, everybody was happy in the village, at the stadium. My guys were drinking beer. I was just sitting there in a little corner, really
Yeah.
tired, drinking my water. And the assistant coach of Hamburg
Came
came over. He gave me a piece of paper in
Yeah.
my hand. And I looked at him. It was his phone number in German saying "phone me."
Yeah.
And then I also, after that match, I heard the press conference, and the coach said, "Hey, the Schwarzer didn't really harm."
Yeah.
Basically, the black
the
guy,
black guy has,
I want him.
Yeah.
So things went very fast. I think a week after that, I went to Hamburg with my manager, Joe Franke, that helped me. And I stayed with Emson for another 3-4 months. And then in the winter, in the winter, I went over then to Hamburg. So it took me around, in the 5th division, a good 15 months
15
actually.
months to play at that level.
In the 5th and the 4th division before I got that break to Hamburg.
Yeah.
To the
And when the assistant coach put the note in your hand and you read it, what was the relief like that you felt? And did you feel like, but this is my opportunity, and this is now really gonna, the stars are aligning now, and this is my opportunity. And you saw yourself, now is the opportunity that I have to get into Bundesliga.
Not even the Bundesliga as such, more in a professional setup.
Yeah.
Where we have to train in the morning, and just the structure around it. And Hamburg was obviously always my target. And so for me, it was like, yes, I'm going to go to the reserve team. But I looked at it, there's probably 2 or 3 players in my position in the first team, and I have to be the best player in the second
reserve,
team,
least,
in the reserve team. That means I'm number 3 in the ranking. If somebody gets injured up there, I should be ready. That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
So when I went to Hamburg in the reserve team, the offer was to either, because I was already 22 then, that do I get an apartment on my own, or do I stay in the performance hostel?
Yeah.
And I looked around in the performance hostel. There was a gym, there was jacuzzis, there was football fields,
everything
there was
you need
food around all the time. And I was like, no. Even though I'm 22 years old, I'm staying in the internat, in the hostel. And so I stayed. And then what helped me with that, at night I would go in the gym. In the mornings, I'll train with my team. And the mornings that the team is not training, I'll train with the youth players, under 17, under 19. So I'll train the crosses. I was just working.
You were just working the whole time, grafting in and out every day.
And I was just happy for the structure and the opportunity to play soccer. Obviously, also from 150 a week, the salary also got a bit more. And I was like, you guys pay like this to play football?
Exactly.
And it's only in the youth in the
reserve team.
So I appreciated that, and I just put in the work.
But the discipline it took, obviously now you're getting a bit more money. Now you have access to different things. You had the opportunity to stay on your own, but you decided to, like I said, stay on the straight and narrow and not let any distractions get in your way. That is very inspiring, and I think that's a big message that you're putting out there right now. Collin, if I can take it back there, when we spoke of you getting into 5th division or trying out a 3rd division, you were not as strong as they are, you weren't as fast as they are, and then technically you were not as good as they were because of the development. Would you say what was put in place for you to get to that level physically? Like you said, you did put in a lot of work, but technically, what did you have to do to get to that level?
Like I said, staying in the hostel, in the youth performance hostel, whenever my team is not training, the reserve team, because we will always train at least twice a week, in the morning and the evening. But obviously, I think during the whole week, we had sessions like at least 7 sessions. But then on the mornings, the 2 days in the week that I was not training with my team, I would ask the under 17 and under 19 coach, like, can I train with the under 19s? And then, of course, they were actually surprised that the reserve players actually training with the youth guys. But for me, it was like any time and every time that I can spend an opportunity I can spend on the football field, it's to better my craft. I mean, I've never crossed. When I was a trial with the 3rd division team, we'll do shootings. And I'll shoot every ball basically over the goal. And you know why? Because we never train it. Because you also know, Chris, you played, that if you play and you shoot the ball, because we don't have nets in the streets, the guys are going to scold you and like, why are you shooting that hard? So we never trained shootings, for example. And I could never do it when I was in the 3rd division. But when I was with the under 19s, training with them, putting the extra work, I learned that craft, and I learned to cross, I learned to play, I learned to have things exactly the ball exactly
Yes.
where it's supposed to be. So I think that work and being in that performance hostel actually helped me
Yeah.
really
And at
a
what
lot.
point when you, because at the time probably you still had national duty when you had to come back.
Yeah.
At what point when you came back, then the guys checked, yo, but Collin is on a different level now. There must have been a turning point where the guys were like, no, but Collin is on a whole different level now. At what point was that, would you say?
Yeah, obviously, when you also come from there, or you're playing abroad, you also want to help your national team,
Yeah.
your country, and you can't come play. There's also no way that I can play as I was playing before. So you always want to try and play a bit more, because also there's a little bit of attention on you, and
Yeah.
there's also guys in your team that you also want to show that I'm growing and I'm becoming better. So yes, that time was really a good time, but I'm still one of the things that I'm not so cool about was the fact that back then there wasn't a window like now when it's an international window. All
Yeah,
the national
it's
teams are
going on.
playing. So we would still have issues that the Bundesliga is playing and then the national team has to play.
Yeah.
And, it was just a difficult
Didn't
one
get
because
that
I'm
time
trying
off
to establish
necessarily.
myself. And I would rather than stay in Germany. It's not something
Exactly.
that you're proud of, but it was
It
also
was the
difficult
structure
for
that
you.
was in place, man.
It was
So obviously
difficult
had
for
to-
you, and you had to make a choice.
Yeah.
And in that time also there's only 5 foreigners allowed in one club.
Yeah.
So if you slacking, somebody else
They're gonna come in.
come in.
So when was that big break when you got that call up from the reserve team? And tell me about that, because I can't even imagine what it felt like.
Yeah, so this one morning, the reserve coach, I was the reserve coach. I came to training. He's like, "Hey, Collin, heute gehst du rüber zu dem Profis." I looked at him.
Yeah, please
I
meet me in the
understood
office.
exactly what he said. He said,
Yeah.
"Today, Collin, you're training with the
For the
professionals."
professionals, yeah.
And I stood like, I was like, "No, coach. What do you mean?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, go over."
Yeah.
Of course, inside, I'm so happy. I want to ask him why, how,
Yeah.
where, what. But I'm also thinking like, this is what I wanted. So of course, I go over to the professional team, and come in. The coach greets me. I get into the dressing room, not where the professional players are, in a little dressing room there, where
Yeah.
basically the guys on trial are. So you sit in that dressing room and you can see the big guys passing by. There was Anthony Yeboah, he's Ghanaian, huge striker,
Yeah.
played for Leeds United,
Yes, yes,
was
yes.
with Hamburg. So he comes in the Hey Bushy, wie geht's dir?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, Anthony Yeboah just greeted me.
Yeah.
And normally you see these guys only
Like
on
a
TV.
fan moment.
It's a fan moment, Stan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you go out on the field, you greet the guys. Obviously, there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Greet the guys, and the only way you're gonna get some respect from them is on the field.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was a right wing, and there was a guy that's playing on the left back, Bernd Hollerbach. He was a guy from South Germany, big guy,
guy, yeah.
strong guy. Nobody actually really take any nonsense.
Nonsense.
He didn't take any
He didn't
nonsense.
take
for him.
nonsense, yeah.
I knew that I can't compete with him physically,
Yeah.
so I have to use my speed.
Yeah.
So training, I'll do that, and after I think the third training session, that same training session, the professional coach came to me and was like, "Oh, wasn't too bad. Come back again tomorrow."
Yeah.
I was like,
Hey,
yeah.
you can't wait for tomorrow.
Can't wait for tomorrow. And I'm also just like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep
Dang.
that evening.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep. So the break came where, like I said, the international window was not aligned. So there was a guy, Mehdi Maravikia, he was from Iran. He had to go for World Cup qualifiers with Iran. So they only had one player on the right wing, Roy Prager. And the coach said after that, like, I think after training 2 weeks with them, like, "Hey, Collin, you're coming with us now." It was a friendly game.
Yeah.
And that friendly game was in the stadium against Bayern Munich.
Sure.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But of course, I know I'm not going to play, but just being part of it.
Just being part of the squad, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't play in that game. And but I was the coach because Mehdi was not around. The coach kept me at the professionals, and I would train with the professionals, and then I go play with the reserves.
Yeah.
And I go train with the professionals. A friendly game every now and then. I'll get in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and that was it. After some time, I think after 3 months or so, the coach came to me and said, "Hey, Collin, ich denke, du bleibst jetzt ab jetzt mit uns.
Yeah.
So from now on, you are with us.
Staying with us, yeah. Ah.
It's probably the best words I've ever heard in my life. Yeah.
And what changed after that? Because now you're in the squad. You have to put in that work to earn your spot in the squad. What did your career look like after that? And what principles stayed with you playing at that level? And I still want to hear about the first time you came back home. What was the first time after being in the Bundesliga now, that you actually got the opportunity to come join the team back home?
Yeah, after I started being with the first team regularly, there was I think my first break. It was a game against Bayern Munich. It was a midweek game because we had a player that retired, for health reasons. So there was a huge charity game.
Yeah.
And I came on in that match against Bayern Munich. It was a friendly game. Guys like Salihamidzic was playing for Bayern Munich,
Yeah.
Stefan Effenberg.
Yeah.
It was just a huge one. It was really just a huge one. But the big break came in a league game where we played against Stuttgart. There was a guy from Bulgaria, Balakov, Freddy Bobic, Giovanni Elber. I came on in that match and made my debut. I think it was 15 minutes before the end. I came in for a player called Eric Meyer, and Eric Meyer just came from Liverpool then.
Yeah.
And it was a huge thing when the guys over the stadium, it's 50,000 people, 57,000 scream, der eingewechselte junge Spieler aus Namibia,
Yeah.
Collin Benjamin.
And the crowd
I
goes
was just
wild.
like, wow. That was beautiful, of course, and I think
Yeah.
obviously coming after that to the national team, there's a little bit of respect. I was like, hey, our guys there, but then at the same time we also had Rashid Chikuzu was playing for Werder Bremen, so
Yeah.
it started becoming a matter of pride.
Yeah.
When I made the first team there, then I could also argue with them and say, no, but my national team needs me. I need to
Yes.
go home.
Yeah.
So when they allow you to go to the national team like that and still come and get a spot, that's when I like, wow, okay, it's good, and I've arrived a bit.
Yeah. Hey, we're talking about all the positive sides and the good sides and the good emotions. Tell us a bit about the part that people don't normally see or understand about being a professional footballer.
Yeah, that one, I would say the mental aspect of it. The mental aspects it means, obviously every day you have to prove yourself, the coach, the teammates, the public. That's somehow kind of okay, but you have to know that after every game or training, after every training or game, you basically go back home and you're all by yourself.
Yeah.
In a foreign country. So when I was like in the 5th division or the 4th division, or even later as a professional, you start talking to yourself. And I really mean it with a lot of respect. You start talking to yourself. And when things are not right, things are not going well, whether it's criticism, you're not playing good, you go sit in that place all by yourself. And that's the time that is actually the most easiest to pack your bags and go home, because you're all by yourself.
Yeah.
The professional game is really all well and good when everything is going your way, and the moment it's not, you don't have friends, you don't have nobody behind you, you sit all by yourself. And that's the time that I think nobody knows, nobody actually cares to know.
Exactly.
And that's also the time that it's most easiest to pack up and go.
Yeah, so you need that mental resilience.
You need it. You really need it while you were there. And you also try to block things out. Like when we were in Hamburg, in Hamburg, there's 6 daily newspapers, tabloids, that has to report on Hamburg or the club. So if you were to visit me, it's going to be in the papers tomorrow. So that means things like going out, where I'm going to have a drink and eating and this and that.
They
see you, and you have to minimize that. You have to be in a bubble, and that bubble coming from a foreign country, and you're a young man, and you're earning some money, you're gonna be tempted to go out and do
100%.
stupid things. But of course, like I said, somehow the values was instilled in me, and I could fight it. And I'm just saying that being by yourself, especially in those bad times, that's the time that you can actually really pick up and go.
Yeah, so you need that, like I said, mental resilience, and you need to push through those days as well.
Most definitely. Most
Collin,
definitely.
tell me how you got into coaching. At what point of on your career when you retired now and so on? At what point did you say, but I want to go into coaching and I want to give back to the community as well in the Namibian context?
Chris, soccer and football, I really respect a lot, because it's not only the love, but it also gave me a lot. I learned values and life lessons through soccer or on the soccer field. So it's also just natural for me to have to give back.
Yeah.
And the coaching was obviously just the natural process that has to go. But I'm also of the opinion that, when you start something, or I was playing, I was learning the trade, the game. And then I had this opportunity and the privilege to actually earn from the game. And then if I learn, I earn, I have to return.
Yeah.
So I have to give back. And when I came back home, I think 2017, 2018, it was my duty. I felt like it's my duty that I have to give back. And that giving back was in the form of us starting this youth soccer league in Windhoek, where we have 2,000 players, boys and
league, right?
the MTC Hopso Youth Soccer League. We started in 2017.
Yes.
We're going to our 9th year now.
And that was groundbreaking. Wow. Well, congratulations on that.
And that's basically also one of the forms that I say that we have to give back. When you were growing up, when I was growing up, those opportunities were not really there, where we actually can play in an organized, structured league over a period of 10 months, 12 months in the year. And also then the coaching, when I started coaching, after I retired, I started started doing my coaching licenses. I started coaching the under-13s at 18-16 Munich at the High Performance Academy. Under-13s, under-16, under-19s, under-21s, the reserve team. And then I went over to the professional team. And at some point, when some of the players that we had in the under-16s started turning professional, because we were the professional team, I sat there and I was like, what is going on here? I trained this boy when he was 13. He's becoming a professional now. Who's doing the job for us in Namibia?
100%.
That's when that conversation started happening with our wife, with the family, and that's when like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
We've learned, we've earned, we have to go back
home.
Have to
go return. And that rhymes. Earn, learn, return. Basic concept.
That's it. And that's what we are doing here, and I think I love it. It's really also, like I say, it's I just love it being on the football field. I love the challenge of being a coach, on how we can actually train something and that playing form or play actually comes to fruition in the game. I love that, and that's probably one of the biggest feelings that you can get 100%. As a coach.
Yeah.
And also at the same time now, as a coach of the national team, I think it's also our duty to prepare these boys, these young players, to try and probably also create a platform for them where they can also probably earn a living through soccer.
Exactly, and a lot of the guys are doing it. I think the culture is obviously the best it's ever been. You've got guys like Shalulile, Otto, Prince also obviously being PSL, earning reasonable amounts of money that can sustain themselves for the future. So they're showing us it can be done. So you crawl so that they could run as well in a certain context, but so showing that it can be done, and so obviously the time for them to return is also going to come, and I think there's a good future for Namibian footballers out there with the context in the greater scheme of things.
I hope and I think so. But obviously, these guys also have different minds. You know, Shalulile, he might say, I'm going to farming. And Dion's actually big in farming, or he's trying to do that farming. So we don't know. But all we're saying is that they have to give in some form, whether it's as an administrator, they're going to have to
Yeah.
give back, because they also know that this platform was given to them by the Namibian nation, to the Namibian national soccer team.
Yeah.
And I still am of the opinion that we do have players going out and doing their thing, and
Yeah.
they should come back and help these ones
And
coming
just
up.
give back, eh?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's while we're on that topic, I want you to tell me two things.
Yeah.
With the experience that you've had now and giving back now and all of that, what is the one thing you would tell your younger self, the advice you would give to your younger self?
I would tell myself to just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Just keep on. Keep on.
Just keep on pushing.
Just keep on pushing.
Yeah, things will be okay.
It will be okay. Keep on pushing. There is no borders. You have to stretch them. And
no shortcuts.
no shortcuts. It's gonna
Yeah.
be work. It's gonna be hard, honest work.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be hard, but it can be very rewarding as well.
Yeah. On that same note, would that be the same advice you have to younger sports people, not just footballers, in the Namibian context today?
Yeah, sports person, I would just say yes. The context, or I say keep on pedaling. It's
Yeah.
like a bicycle. Keep on
Yeah.
pedaling. Keep on pedaling. Because if you stop pedaling, you're
Gonna
gonna fall off.
Yeah.
And I'm just of the opinion that once you comprehend that metaphor of pedaling,
Yeah.
you'll understand what it means. That I have to be resilient. I have to keep on working. And generally, normally things will always fall into place.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep doing that. You have to do the work, and you have to prepare. The sports person, I would say, while you're pedaling, things will fall into place. And when things fall in place, start already to prepare when things, because you're not going to be there for a long time or forever. Then you start preparing already for life after you're
done, yeah.
after you
And
not a
And
sportsman
that's basically sets up the foundation for our next conversation. So, Collin, as you know, we are PSG Wealth Management. So we focus on holistic financial planning advice to our retail and institutional clients. And it would be unjust if we don't give our audience today insights to how you've managed the income that you've had, how you've built the wealth that you have today, and how to give those tips and tricks to back to the sports people as well, and to the young and upcoming people out there as well. So maybe if you can give us some insights. At some point of your career, we know that when you went to Germany, earning 100, 200 marks at the time.
Yeah.
But like we said, there was a time where it came where the paycheck was prominent, and it was enough for you to start building your future going forward. Can you just give us some insights to when that happened and when you could actually start thinking about wealth creation?
Yeah, I would also say at the same time that, when I started earning a decent salary, I was fortunate enough to be in a first world country where some of the instruments was at your disposal, whether it's to invest in buy stocks, buy shares, into property, some funds that's around or that can yield
High returns and so on.
the returns that's good or that's above inflation, or even high, but obviously it goes with a lot of risk
100%,
also. So I was fortunate to have that, and I think my club, Hamburg always had professionals, advisors, or they had people coming through to the club, especially the young players, advises us on insurance, on life policies, on basically just life after football, and the instruments that you can use to set yourself up when you're done. So I was fortunate to have that, and with that I can also just say in an example, for example, it was that in 2001 I bought my first property in Bantu, in Namibia. It was in Kleine Cooper, for example, but I got married in 2004, and I was still living while I have that property. I was still living at my mom's house, or in my childhood room. And then remember, I got married, and then obviously when we come on holidays, my wife will stay at my room at my parents' house. And the first child came in 2004 after the wedding, and then the second child came in 2007, and that was for me only then that we actually like, oh, when we come on holiday, we probably need a decent place for us as a family. But what I'm trying to say with that is like I started already young, or I started early already, and at that age, like I said, if I have a townhouse in the suburbs, and I'm still living in Chandubala in my room, that was also some of the lessons or the thoughts that I had to say, you know what, it's gonna be long term. I have to invest long term, and I shouldn't be greedy. And so. Yeah, I could with the help of these professionals set up a few things for me, and to be somehow kind of stable.
Let's talk about the financial advice that you received. Obviously, you had access to the professionals. How much of your income were you saving, or were you supposed to save to sustain yourself? Let's say post football retirement.
What I know is that, yes, when I started earning a decent salary, it was always a lot about balance. Remember that you don't have a lot. What am I going to spend and what am I going to save? So I made it a point that I saved a lot more than 70%. I'd put away. I'll put away, and so you'll still live kind of okay, but not as
lavish as you want to live.
As you supposed to live, because you in the straight now. And so for me it was really important to always a rainy day, and to say that, you know, like through all the struggles, let me sort out my parents, let me sort out my father, let's sort out my mom, help with the kids and school fees and stuff like that. So that was really important, and also, you know, like I said, to save up a lot, because you also know I was very aware already that I can play soccer only, and this kind of income will also probably just come in for a certain period
of time. Like you said, 70%. I don't think many of us would have the discipline to do that. So shout out to you, Kocha. If I can, in that same breath, ask you, what is having access to the professionals and having obviously been in the, let's say, investment management type of field for some time, and having experience from a retail investor point of view, what is some of the best financial advice and some of the worst financial advice that you followed or that you've experienced?
At some point when I also got the hang of the money markets, and you know, there's certain products that came onto the market that you felt like, hey, you know what, this return, this yield is really huge, and it's high. Let's go in, and so around the time of 2007, 2008, I think the financial crisis. There was a financial crisis in Europe.
All over the world.
The markets crashed a bit, and we lost out. But just for that fact that you actually maybe were a bit greedy. But that was one. It was a mistake, because you saw, because it's normally also, it goes hand in hand with a lot of risk. So after that, the advice that I got, and where I am also now, is just to say, keep it steady. As long as you are, keep it steady, and always try to, every month you put something away. And as long as you are above the inflation rate, then you should be good. Diversify.
100% diversify your portfolio.
And then you should be kind of good.
And on that, just from obviously investment management perspective, there are a lot of people that made a lot of money also during the 2008 crash, because if markets go down, that's the time to also buy in, and over time, if you invest in risky asset classes, the time plays out. So the longer you're invested there, the better it's also, because the volatile asset classes aren't really good in a short term. So investing in volatile asset classes in the short term it's a tricky business. But like you said, always beating inflation. That's the best financial advice you've gotten, huh?
It's the best. Beat inflation, and I think if you look at, there's certain asset classes that you can always look at, property, shares in some of companies that's kind of like established.
Yeah.
You never really go wrong with it. And I think as long as you're really not greedy and it's compounding every month that you're actually putting something on the side, it shouldn't be such a huge thing. And I think that's what we did. And I think we've been doing okay. And in the end, it's really just for that rainy day, because you're not going the income is not going to be as stable as it was at your most productive, and that's the only thing that you actually want to cater for there.
Yeah, great stuff. Collin, if I can ask you one more question with regards to this, and this is actually, it's not a trick question, because you've had these principles and concepts in place from a young age. I mean, from 22 years of age, having that mindset. But how do you handle your finances now versus back then, and what would you have changed going back? Not in terms of the mistakes you've made, but what would you change going back? Would you have saved more? Would you still have had the same principles in place? Would you have lived a bit more? How do you manage your finances now versus back then?
I think because the principles are still the same, that we try to, and it's actually really simple. Just try to not spend as much.
Yeah, live within your means.
Live within your means.
Yeah.
Try to save up as much as possible. That's basically a principality that myself and my wife follow till this day, and I think we've been doing good with that. Our at the same time also now, we've been around, and we also of the opinion that, we can also live a bit, So our target is to have the kids, to provide tertiary for them, a good education for them.
Yeah.
They're getting out of the house, and for us also now, every now and then say, let's pack the bags.
Yeah,
let's go. So we had our this year we had a 20-year anniversary with the wife.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And we're actually thinking of doing something really beautiful in the beginning of the first quarter next year.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Coach, so we've gotten to a part of the show where we're ending off, and this part is called 5 on 5 with PSG Wealth. Is it fine if we ask you 5 personal questions, and you need to answer them as quick as possible?
Let me have a sip of water.
Not a problem.
I'm ready.
So 5 personal questions. Answer them as quick as possible. Question number 1. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I'm huge on sports, so I'll probably set up 5 sports facilities, one in Windhoek and the other 4 in the 4 corners of the country, because I'm of the opinion that multi-purpose sports arenas can also probably help us against the fight of youth unemployment. I think there's a lot of potential in that sector.
And we've got a lot of talent in this country. It just
definitely
needs to be unlocked.
I think if you look at, we've got swimmers, we've got the rugby players, we've got the soccer players, we've got cricket players, athletics, the boxers. So I think if we're able to probably give them a good platform, we can alleviate that.
I love that.
Can help with the.
Question number 2. Obviously, having played Bundesliga, Champions League, I mean, it's the list expensive. Who's the best player you've ever played against, and what is the best experience you've had at a stadium?
Best player, there was a lot of players, especially coming from Namibia, but Thierry Henry.
Yes.
The guy's
When did you play against Henry?
So there was Hamburg, we qualified for the Champions League, so we played against Arsenal. At the Emirates, I think around 2008 or so, 2007, 2008. And this guy is probably a head big taller than me. Yeah. Stronger than me. He's fast.
He was
and
fast,
he's got talent.
Yeah.
That guy, it was really, really hard playing against. So
was he playing on the left while you were on the right?
Yes.
So you had to defend him?
I had to defend him.
Big job.
And at the corners, I had to defend him. This guy is just sheer power, obviously talent and a lot of skill. And then there's also Frank Ribéry. He was a bit shorter than me, but it's strength, it's power.
The conditioning is...
it's just, you hit him here at the corners or whatever. It's just like you hitting a wall. So those guys were really, really... It was not easy.
Yeah. Cool. 3rd question. If you could create one law for Namibians to follow, what would it be?
Can we implement a law that gives companies some kind of or some sort of a tax incentive if they sponsor a sport. Doesn't matter which sport, just sponsor sport, and you're gonna have
tax incentive.
And tax incentive.
I don't know if
that.
you saw, but we had Honorable Shimi on the show, the previous or two, another episode.
Yeah.
So Honorable Shimi, if you're listening, Coach Benjamin is asking for that tax incentive.
Thank you so much.
Collin, fourth question. If you could go back and do one thing differently, what would it be and why?
I'll probably go back to age 18. I would probably also invest a lot more in my body, in my trade, and just live for the sport. Because I am of the opinion that if I was to have done that a bit more, I would have minimized the injuries.
Yeah.
And having minimized the injuries would mean that I would have spent more time on the soccer field.
Yeah.
And if I spend more time on the soccer field, it would have meant more money.
Yeah. Last question. Looking back at life, what accomplishment are you most proud of?
I think there's two actually, but the one, if I was able to, or I had the privilege of having made my hobby my profession, and especially in one of the top, Germany at that time was probably under the top 3 leagues in Europe, and at that time they could only allow 5 foreigners in the club, non-European foreigners.
Yeah.
So so that you could have a sport for 10 years against guys from South America, Asia, or wherever they come from. I think that's something that I'm really proud of, that's really huge, honored.
Yeah.
And and just the fact that you also, you're a man, a family man. You stand for something. Your kids can see them grow. I think that's just family. Whether it's my biological kids, because I've got a lot of kids at home.
You just think
my wife and I, we always have kids, and the family looks up to you, and we're just proud. And I think that's really something that I'm proud of.
Thank you so much. To our viewers at home, we'd like to thank Collin. Collin, thank you so much for being on the show today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us and share your story. So we're just appreciative from PSG Wealth.
Chris, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, PSG, doing top work, beautiful work, and definitely we're looking at it, and it's really an honor to have had me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. To our viewers at home, we look forward to having you on another episode of Windows of Wealth again soon. All the best and happy holidays.